I never thought I would be a dad at this age. I was kind of shocked and I wasn't too sure how to react. Being a parent is such a big responsibility. I remember just sitting there and just tears coming down my eyes. I just accepted the fact of it is what it is. I'm trying to make my partner happy, make my parents happy. You can't make everyone happy. I'm so grateful that I've had a daughter. You do not know true love till you hold your own flesh and blood. That's when life changes. We created this. It's the start of something so much more, so much beautiful. Welcome back to the Better Projects podcast. This week is a bit of a different episode. I was actually interviewed by a previous guest, Lachlan Mitchell, where we dive into my journey of becoming a parent, becoming a father, all the ups, all the downs that come along with it. This is the first time that I've actually been open, I've been vulnerable about this topic, because I know a lot of men, including myself, when I found out that I was going to become a father and the whole journey, it's been up and down. There's been a lot of struggles, and I bottled a lot of that up because I didn't know what to do, who to go to. All the focus is on the mum and the baby, yet a lot of the time, us men, we get forgotten about. So I think it's very, very important that we start to open up, we start to speak about it, and this podcast is a great way to start that conversation. So I hope you enjoy. As I said, this is the first time that I've actually opened up. I've spoken about a lot of these things, and throughout this conversation, I actually had the idea to put together a men's circle for men to come together, fathers or fathers-to-be, to come together, to jump on a weekly call where we can open up. We can talk about the highs, the lows, and be able to hold space for each other, to keep each other accountable, and to also help each other work through our struggles as well. So if you're interested in being a part of that, all you have to do is send the Better Project Instagram page a message, and I'll join you into that group. But yeah, other than that, I hope you really, really enjoy this episode. If you have any questions or anything to do with parenthood, feel free to send me a message also. But yeah, I hope you enjoy this episode. Let's go. Lachlan Mitchell, welcome back to the Better Project. A little bit of a different episode today. Lockie's actually going to be taking charge. And I think before I hand it over to you, I want to ask, why did you put your hand up to come out here and actually have me as a guest on my own podcast today?
I think you've got a story that a lot of men can relate to, and that sharing this is going to be really powerful for a whole number of people who are going to be listening, especially around what it means to become a father, what it means to have a child, how life changes, how relationships change. And diving into that is something that I don't think is really talked about as much. And there's going to be a lot of value to a lot of people.
It's going to be raw. It's going to be real. And well, obviously just talking before we jumped on, and it kind of really hit me that this is going to be a very vulnerable episode for me, as I haven't spoken really in depth about any of this stuff before. I've skimmed the surface and spoken about little bits and pieces, but not gone into the depth as which we're going to today. So it is, in a way, it's a bit scary, bit fearful, but it's actually exciting. So I'm pumped, and I'm going to hand it over to you, bro. This is your podcast now.
The Lachlan Mitchell podcast. I love it. So to confirm, Nick, you're 26 now.
Yeah, just about to turn 26, yeah.
And how old's your little girl?
So she just turned 1 in January.
So how old were you when she was born?
So I was, 24, just about to turn 25.
24 years old. That's fairly young to be a dad.
Yeah. Never thought I would be a dad that young, especially prior to actually my partner getting pregnant. Yeah, we spoke about having kids, but we're like, oh, it's going to be like another 2 or 3 years away. And then she got pregnant. So that was a big shock in a way for both of us. Scary, fearful, all the emotions and feelings that come with it all. But yeah, I never thought I would be a dad at this age.
So talk me through the thought process. Like, what happened when you found out? Like, what went through your mind the moment that she came to you and was like, I'm pregnant?
Yeah, so we were actually away. I was playing Oztag State Cup up in Coffs Harbour there. And I guess to backtrack what I mentioned to you before and how it kind of eventuated, obviously it takes two people to tango. And during that act, there was something inside of me that was like, it's okay to, I don't just gonna be blunt. It's okay to finish inside, not pull out or anything like that. It was okay. And I don't know why, but it just overcame me. And I don't know if it was my dick thinking or my heart or my mind or something, but whatever came over me was like, it's okay. Everything's going to be okay. Just do it. No, just do it. And usually if I would have done that previously, I would be stressing out, shit myself, you got to get the morning after pill, all that kind of stuff. This time, it was more so, I don't know, I just accepted the fact of it is what it is. If it's meant to be, it's meant to be. And I just went with the flow of it. And then after that, I was just like, just making jokes here and there to my partner. Oh, we're going to be parents. We're going to be parents. And I don't know why. And then it obviously came true. And we were away. I was playing State Cup, and the whole time I kind of had the inkling of she's going to get pregnant because obviously I blew inside her. And she was kind of acting a bit off. And then she came in, I think it was the last night of the tournament, and she came in and threw a pregnancy fucking thing at me. She goes, here you go. Because I kept nagging. I go, what's wrong? What's wrong? Yeah. What's wrong? Like, there's something off with you here.
Yeah. And she threw a pregnancy test at you.
Yeah, because I think she was trying to hold it off to surprise me in another way. Like, she didn't want to throw me off my game or anything like that, as I was competing at a pretty high level. So she didn't want to throw me off.
So you got a pregnancy test thrown at you.
Yeah.
What went through your mind in that moment?
I was like, what the fuck is this? And I looked at it and I was like, trying to read the lines, like what it meant, because I wasn't sure. And then I read and I was like, oh, okay. You're pregnant? And she goes, yes, I'm pregnant. I was like, like a part of me knew, but a part of me was still trying to accept the fact that she was pregnant. So yeah, I was kind of shocked and I wasn't too sure how to react.
What was going on in your body?
Bit of numbness.
Numbness?
Yeah. Trying to process everything that's happening.
Yeah.
Obviously going from the highs of competing that day, being an athlete, then to being back at the place and getting a pregnancy test thrown at you to find out like you're going to be a dad. It's just like all these emotions just hit you. And I didn't quite process it. Did not process it. We laid together, we cuddled, spoke about it a bit. And then obviously I had to go again because we had a team function that night. And the whole night was like surreal. It was like, am I actually going to be a dad here? Like I don't know. And then we continued to speak about it, bits and pieces here and there. And then once we got back to Sydney, it kind of hit. I was like, fuck, I'm actually going to be a dad here. And the scariest part was telling everyone. Like she wanted to tell everyone straight away. And I was so resistant to that. I was like, I don't want to tell anyone.
What were you afraid of?
It's a good question. I don't know. I was just afraid of what people would think. Because I could barely look after myself. So how am I going to look after a child? So it was just, the fears of the reaction that I would get, especially from my parents. And I held off for so long, not telling them. And she obviously told her mum pretty quickly. And then I was like, fuck, I've got to tell my parents. And I think it was my mum's birthday, and we bought her this mug that said happy birthday, grandma, or something like that. And she took it out and she goes, oh, fuck off, idiot. Like, she thought I was taking the piss out of her because how old she is. And she looked at us and she goes, what, are you serious? And we just go, yeah. And she just like jumped up in joy and happiness. I was like, what? Wasn't really expecting that.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah. And then my dad's like, well, are you serious? Like, wow, this is awesome. Like, congratulations. And I think it just goes to show a lot of times when I talk about anxieties and fears, like we create so many scenarios in our head that 99.9% of the time, they never come true. And in this instance, same thing. I thought it was going to be a bad reaction, but in fact, it was actually a good reaction. So telling all the family found out, which made me realize, shit, this is real now. It's starting to get real. And that kind of hit me. There was a few nights, multiple nights actually, that at the time I was living in the Blue Mountains, so right near the bush. And at night time, I would go into the bush, and there was this place I would go to and just sit there and just think, speak to myself and contemplate, what the fuck have I got myself into here?
What are you thinking, like, when you were out there? What was the biggest thing on your mind in regards to knowing the fact that you're about to bring a little girl, or maybe at the time you didn't know,
I didn't.
like, bring a child into this world? Like, what was going through your head? You're out alone in the bush. It's dark.
Yeah. There was a few times I cried.
Yeah.
Obviously it hit me that being a parent is such a big responsibility. And as I mentioned before, I could barely look after myself, and I'm trying to figure out who I am as a person. And now I'm going to have to raise a little human. How am I going to, well, first of all, I thought, fuck, how am I going to balance being a dad and building a business and building my passions and stuff like that? Like, I won't be able to do it. My life's going to be ruined, all these kind of shit that goes through your mind, and plenty of dads out there probably had the same thoughts.
So what were those fears specifically that were going through your mind?
Fear of failure as a parent.
Yep.
Fear of judgment from others for maybe not being a good parent. Fear of not achieving the things that I wanted to achieve. I felt like I can't go travel. I can't, as I said, build my business and stuff because now I'm a parent. I can't do any of this stuff now. So yeah, all those fears around that, and they really just hit me. And there was times I got voice memos on my phone. I'm going to find them. Like, I actually just sat there and just recorded all my thoughts, all my emotions. I should probably go back and listen to them. Of those times where I was sitting in the bush. But yeah, they were very scary and fearful moments for me. But there was just something that came just over the, I think over that period of just every couple of nights going to the bush, it finally hit me. Well, I finally accepted it for what it was. And I finally realized, like, wow, everything will be okay. I just got to take it one day at a time. And right now, work as hard as I can to build what I need to build, support my partner Katrina in the process, because my body isn't changing, hers is, and all the hormones and shit like that. Like, for me, the biggest thing is I just need to support her. So that's what I just focused on for that period of time.
Yeah.
So after the finally accepting it, life kind of just went back to normal until she was actually born.
So then leading up, as obviously she's getting more and more pregnant, more things are changing. What changed in your relationship? Obviously with the intimacy and sex and you feeling like you have to provide, like, it would have been hectic, right?
Yeah, so what changed, what big change was she had to move in with myself at my parents' house.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because obviously we want to be together.
Yeah.
Bringing a child in as well. And that was a big, say, argument within itself, because she didn't want to move into my parents. I didn't want to move into her parents.
Right.
And I kind of just laid down the law of, this is what's happening. You're moving in with me, with my parents. And I think when she moved in, so she was probably there for just under 6 months. Yep. We moved out in September last year. Yep. Something like that. That was a fun experience.
Talk us through it.
As parents and bringing children into this world, you need your own space.
Yeah.
Definitely need your own space. It's so hard to try and be a parent in your own parents' house. Because everyone has an opinion on how they did it and how you should do it.
Yeah.
And it was hard because obviously it's my parents' house. They felt like they could just come and go into any room and do what they want.
Yeah.
They didn't entirely respect personal space.
Yeah.
Because they've never been used to anyone else bar myself and my brother living there. So it's their house.
Don't know exchange.
Yeah. And my partner's there, my daughter's there, and obviously they're excited because it's their grandchild, and they want to spend as much time as possible with her. Whereas my partner struggled a bit with, postpartum depression a little bit, like adjusting to it all the changes. Obviously the environment she was in made it very hard. She felt like she had no time for herself, no personal space, because anywhere she would go, one of my parents or my brother would be there. So she found that very hard, and over that 6-month period, it really built up the tension, man. Like to the point where my partner would snap over certain things, and my parents would notice it, and it would cause a rift, and then it would come back onto me because I'm the one in the middle. My parents, my partner, I was the one to kind of try and fix it, solve the issue there, and make peace.
Yeah.
That caused so much fucking stress, man. So much stress because I'm trying to make my partner happy, make my parents happy, and you can't make everyone happy.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, I felt very, very unhappy, and I just felt like I couldn't support my partner the way that I should have, and then achieve the things that I want to as well, because there was just always this rift, and I didn't want to move. Like I wanted to move out, but I didn't because I had the fear of the financial situation.
Yeah.
Moving out of home's expensive.
Yeah.
And obviously I've moved out now, and I have realized, yes, it is fucking expensive.
Very expensive.
Which has then caused or led on to more issues when it comes to finances.
Yeah.
But, if I hadn't have moved out, I wouldn't have had my own space. I wouldn't be sitting here in this studio. Like there's so many positives, so many blessings that have came off the back of it. And as you mentioned previously, being a parent, doing the adult things is a massive rite of passage. And for me, it has been, and it's been really pivotal in my own growth and my own development. And every day it's been scary. It's been fearful. Especially the last couple of months. It's just like money comes into my account, money goes out of my account, all the bills that come along with, having your own house. So that has been fearful, but super grateful for it at the same time.
Because you went through a pretty full-on time as well, like your own mental health.
Yeah.
In this last year and a bit, right?
Yeah, just adjusting to being a dad. Trying to be the best dad, trying to support my family, pay the bills, then, go to work every single day, come home, do the whole family thing, then try and build my podcast, my business, my, work on my passions and my own health, my own fitness. And there was a period there where it just spiraled a bit, and I didn't care. Well, I cared, but I didn't care. I was just in that slump. I felt lost. I didn't know what to do. That was fucking hard, bro. Because obviously you want the best for yourself. You want the best for your family. But at the time, I just didn't know how. Didn't know what to do. And I just felt so stuck, man. So stuck, so lost. And it wasn't until, recently that, I got the studio up and running, so I was able to fully work on my passions before. My passions podcast, that brought some life back to me, because before I was just in a spare bedroom in the house. And what comes up for me now is in that moment when I was in the room and I was recording podcasts, outside the door, I would hear my partner, my baby crying and stuff like that. I felt guilty, man. I felt guilty for being in there working on my podcast, because I felt like I should be out there helping, which then led to a level of resent, and then a level of me just not doing it because I felt like I shouldn't.
It turns into a cycle of guilt and resentment and not doing enough, and what the fuck am I meant to do? And everything is not worth it, and it's how we spiral, right? Because we just create those stories.
Definitely, bro. So the biggest blessing was creating my own space here, because I just shut the door. And don't get me wrong, I still have a level of guilt, and it's still something that myself and my partner working at a middle ground of coming in here. My sole focus for that hour or 2 hours is my content and what I'm building. And it is hard, because sometimes I record an awesome podcast, have mad conversations, have all this awesome energy, and I go into the house and my daughter has not gone to sleep. She's been up, she's been crying, vomiting. And my partner's stressed out because she's covered in vomit and all that kind of stuff. And then it's like I have this good energy, and then I'm met with this bad energy, and it's just like it drags me down, and then I feel guilty, shame, all that kind of stuff.
So is it okay to know that what you're doing right now is also building, is going to help you create more money? Like for you, just on day to day, this is what's going to help you create more money on top of it. So that guilt, can you turn that guilt into knowing that that's where you need to put more energy and time, because that's what's going to create greater freedom for you and your partner, and to be able to get a babysitter in once a week, twice a week, to take her out, have some time, etc. Because it's like this is where you'll make more cash, right? And build a business. So bringing it back around, in those weeks leading up to when she was about to be born, did you know what gender the baby was?
Yeah, we found out the gender, had a whole gender reveal, all that kind of stuff. So, that was, it's fun. It's funny because I always wanted a boy, and I'm going to say this, and it's so bad, but I used to say to all my friends, a boy or abortion. As a joke, so don't take me seriously. As a joke, I think, what's that come from, Borat or something like that? One of those movies. A boy or abortion? That came back to bite me. So, found out it was a girl.
It's a joke, everybody.
Yeah, it's a joke. I wasn't being serious. Don't hate me. But I used to joke around and say that. And then, obviously, I found out I was going to have a girl.
What went through your mind? Like, what was that thought process? You're like, holy shit.
How am I going to deal with this?
Having a baby girl.
Yeah, because obviously I feel like a boy would be easier for me, because I'm a guy myself. So I wasn't too sure what to expect. I had no clue. My partner was the prepared one. She knew everything, because obviously her background, she has a lot of siblings, so she's grown up basically raising her other siblings, whereas me, it was just me and my brother, and we're close in age anyway, so we didn't have little kids running around. So she was well prepared, whereas I had no clue. It was just go with the flow and see what happens. So definitely different. Changing nappies, all that kind of shit. Never done that stuff before.
Especially the sloppy big ones.
Yeah. Now it's just second nature, bro. It's easy. It's like, cool, whatever. So that was a very interesting period. Would not have it any other way. Like, I'm so grateful that I've had a daughter. She is truly amazing, and speaking to people before I became a father, the biggest thing was two things was obviously having kids is going to change your life, but a big thing was you do not know true love until you hold your own flesh and blood.
That was going to be my next question. Around like what happened when you're at the hospital and your partner's going into labour, and that little girl comes out into this world. Like, talk me through that.
Yeah, so my partner had a water birth.
Oh wow!
In the bath there. It wasn't planned. It just that's how it happened.
Yeah.
My daughter shot out like a cannon.
Jesus.
It was so quick. I was like, what the fuck? With her umbilical cord wrapped around her neck and shit like that. So that was, everything happened so quick.
So did you have like a midwife or someone there?
Yeah, it's just the hospital midwife. Yeah.
At the house or?
No, at the hospital.
At the hospital.
Yeah, so it was all in the Nepean Hospital, so Penrith Hospital. Yeah, not planning to have a water birth. She just, to release some of the pain, like, oh, have a bath, go and do that. And then they realized, oh, wow, you can actually start pushing now. And
yeah, wow.
it just turned into a water birth. So, yeah, I'm sitting there, obviously, supporting her. And it was just, they said, oh, you're ready to start pushing. And like 10, 15 minutes later, my daughter just shot out. I've never seen something shoot out so quickly in my life. And I was like, was that actually a baby or... Yeah, I won't get into details. Every parent will know how childbirth is like.
Yeah.
But yeah, just hearing those first cries, man. I remember just sitting there and just tears coming down my eyes. I was like, wow, like we created this. And obviously my partner had to hold her first, and they had to then clean her up and all that stuff. So I didn't hold her for a while. But when I first held her, there's photos and I'm just so awkward because I don't know how to hold a baby. That was truly amazing, man. Just holding, I'm getting fucking shakes now, bro. This is, because it's bringing back memories.
What was going through your mind when she was like coming over to you and took her in your arms? Like, what was that feeling in your body?
Just love. Just love, gratitude. Kind of like an out of body, like just energy shift. So, unless you're a parent, like it's so hard to describe.
So that's that whole rite of passage, right?
Yeah.
So like, it sounds like in that moment, that was like that whole big physical, energetic shift where you're like, holy shit, like this is my baby girl and I'm going to protect her and raise her for the next 18 years.
Yeah, because
fuck.
During the pregnancy, obviously things are changing. But when she's actually born, that's when life changes. Now you actually have to look after this child and keep it alive while still looking after yourself. And it's hard, but it's so beautiful. Becoming a father has been the best blessing and my biggest achievement thus far in life. Like, that beats anything, like the studio podcast, anything that I've done and achieved. Becoming a dad just tops that. Just, yeah, knowing that you've created this little human that you get to guide and mold is, yeah, it's fucking amazing, bro. So beautiful knowing that you've done that. Yeah, it's hard to explain.
Wow. Yeah. So I guess after she was born, like, what was those first few weeks like?
Yes,
Bringing her home and
see the adjustment period. Super grateful for my partner. She held it down. She held it down, that's for sure. I had no clue what I was doing. A lot of it, yeah, was just me supporting her and then learning as I go, like bathing her, changing her nappies, feeding her, all these new things that I've never experienced before. I had to learn, which was beautiful in itself. And, lack of sleep, getting vomited on at 2 o'clock in the morning, pill explosions, all that fun stuff.
all the fun stuff.
But it's funny, previous to being a parent, I'm like, oh, that's disgusting. like gag and vomit and shit. And it's like, now I don't really care. Unless it's really bad, then I might gag a bit. But
It's all up in the nappy.
yeah.
How the hell did it get up there? It's on your back.
Yeah. I don't know how children can excrete that much sometimes. It's very amazing. But yeah, the whole adjustment phase wasn't too bad. It was just life went on. Like I didn't work. I had time off work, so I got to spend quality time. But as I said, a lot of it was just supporting and being there for my partner. For her, it was a lot more of a adjustment
Yeah.
for her. So yeah, it was obviously difficult, but that comes with being a parent. Once we adjusted and it got to a period where now I just chuck my daughter in there and I don't care. Like she's a little rag doll. Changing nappies, I don't care. Like she's fucking awesome, man. Like she just started walking and wow. Yeah, she's getting into everything now. Crazy little thing. It's been a hell of a journey, and it's funny how quick the time flies. Like as we mentioned before, she's already 1 year old. Like, where has this last 12 months gone?
Yeah.
It's been crazy. It's been a hell of a ride, but it's the start of something so much more, so much beautiful, and it's been awesome so far. No matter the ups and downs, like yeah, she's my biggest blessing. A quick word from our sponsor, One Stop Pod. If you're looking to start a podcast, but you're sitting on the fence because you don't know where to start, or maybe you even already have your own podcast and you want to take it to the next level, One Stop Pod can help you from our high quality podcast studio, post-production services, and even podcast mentoring to ensure that you have your foundations, structures, and systems in place to ensure that your podcast can grow and blossom. This is honestly something that I wish I had when I first started my podcast, because when I dived in, I had no clue what I was doing. I had no guidance, no information. I was just like, okay, what do I do? With One Stop Pod, we got everything for you. All you have to do is focus on having the conversations that you want to have. If you're interested in finding out more about our services and our packages, feel free to check us out on Instagram at onestoppod_. Let's get back to the podcast.
What happened in your relationship, I guess, is if any other fathers who might be expecting a young child listen to this, it's like, what happened for you? Because obviously things change a fair bit.
Yeah. Where am I going to attack this from? There's a lot of change that happens. And I think a lot of that comes down to communication, which is something I'm not the best at, something I'm still learning. The biggest adjustment for me was, obviously previously to that, it was like, yeah, I'm a partner, but it was just me. I just had to really care about myself, and I could spend hours on my podcast or focusing on whatever I want to focus on.
Mm.
Now I have a responsibility. I have a child that I need to provide for and look after and support my partner during that whole process. So it was adjusting to, in a way, how do I balance that? Which then made me realize, like, it's not about balance, it's about priorities. And there's going to be times where my whole priority is going to be my daughter and my partner.
Yeah.
And then there's going to be periods where I might have a couple of hours or a day or whatever the case may be that I can go full in on my podcast. Now, in the beginning, I thought I could still be selfish and focus on all the things that I want to focus on. That landed me in the doghouse a fair few times.
Yeah, but
So yeah, there was a lot of arguments there, and then also what I mentioned before, the tension when living at my parents' house.
Yeah.
So that built up to the point where my partner's like, "That's it. Like, I'm either moving back in with my mum, or we're moving out together." So she really put me on the spot, and I had to make a decision there. That was scary. Because I tried to put it off for so long, and I kept using the excuse of money, finances. We need to save as much as possible, which to a degree, yes, true. But underlying that, the biggest fear was moving out of my comfort zone. Like, I was comfortable in my own house. Why do I have to move out and have to pay all these bills and be way out of my comfort zone? That it wasn't funny. She forced me to move out. And I tell her this often, but I'm so like fucking grateful that she laid down the law, that like she took my balls and said that this is what's happening. And like she picked this house and everything. Like, I never looked at it. She goes, we're moving in here. And I just had to pay you. And we moved in. I had no clue. I was like, okay, this is what we're doing. And I remember coming here the first time. I was like, oh, all right, this is cool. I guess this is life now. We moved in, and it took a couple of weeks to settle in and get used to it. As I mentioned before, best decision that we have made. Well, she's made, and I've followed along. That had happened because I wouldn't be in the position that I am now and who I am now, the growth that I've had over the last 12. How long have I been here? Like 6 or 7 months since we've been here. I wouldn't have had that if I stayed in my comfort zone. And it just goes to show that there's so much growth outside of comfort. You just got to move past those fears. Because, they really do hold you back. And for me, a big thing was, when it comes to the podcast, I speak a lot about jumping out of your comfort zone and moving past your fears and stuff like that. So if I'm going to be speaking about that, I've got to, live it and take action on it and be an example for my listeners, myself, and then also my daughter as well. Even though she doesn't see it at this age, but when she grows up, she looks back on what I achieved and who I became. That's going to be off the back of taking action and leaping out of my comfort zone. So it's a lot of change, a lot of growth. Wouldn't have had it any other way.
So there's another young guy that's listening to this now, and he might have a baby on the way, or a dad that's thinking about becoming a father. What's the 3 most critical things you'd say to that father? To advice or wisdom?
I think the first thing is everything's going to be okay. And I know people say that a lot, everything's going to be okay. But it's so true. As I mentioned before, we create so many scenarios in our head of what can go wrong. But the positives outweigh the negatives fucking 10 to 1. No matter what goes, financial stress, whatever the case may be, everything will be okay. And life happens for you, not to you. So just go with the flow, embrace it, and just be present in the moments. Don't be focusing on, the past or trying to predict the future. Just be present. And, if you've already become a father or you're about to become a father, being present is so important because, as I said before, time goes so quick. You do not want to regret not spending quality time with your child and your partner, not building a strong connection. Because I know a lot of fathers out there that have chosen work or chosen business over their own family, and it's gotten to the point of divorce. They've split up, and cool, they've built a cool business. They're making a lot of money. Well, what's the point of having all that if you don't have your family there with you?
Interesting. On that topic, there's 2 people that come to mind. Jordan Peterson talks about you've got little kids for 4 years, and that's it. So it's 4 years that create such a foundation to who they become, because it's their printing phase of life and everything. They're developing their values, their language, etc. And I heard someone else recently talk about that the most important thing when raising a child's the parents' relationship. Because if you've got a team together, it's like you're coming at not the problem, but coming at it together. And not going back and forth, this fighting. So I think you're absolutely right, and how important it is to be a team in that. So wow.
So coming back to that, the first thing was everything's going to be okay, and the second, be present, enjoy every moment, embrace it. Focus on business and obviously providing and achieving the things that you want to do, but choose your priorities wisely. Because you don't want to have regret of not having a relationship with your partner, your child, and regretting missing monumental stages and missing them being a child because they grow up so quickly. So I would say that would be my second one. And third one, what comes to me is taking personal responsibility. You're a father now, or you're about to be a father. Turn up as one. There's so many fathers that are not actually fathers.
So our transition from boy to man, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
A rite of passage.
That's it. Yes, it takes two to tango, but you've created a child now. Turn up for that child, but also turn up for yourself, because that's going to allow you to be a better parent. So a big thing is, taking radical responsibility for your life, for being a parent, for your child. If you can get those three in check, I think you'll do a pretty good job. Children don't come with instruction manuals.
What?
Well, I'm going to reframe that. Children come with a lot of instruction manuals from
Many different instructions.
Yeah, from the internet, parents, friends and family on how to do certain things.
Books.
Yeah, books. So I think there's a lot of instruction manuals, and people can get caught up on all the different methods and how to actually be a parent. Just do the best of what you have, but continue to grow and learn and implement different things, but just stick true to who you are and be your authentic self. Because if you're being that, your child's going to see that. And a big thing is, for example, if you want your child to, grow up to be fit and healthy, you got to do that yourself. You got to be that mirror for your child, because they're a sponge. They soak up. They see everything that you do. So you got to live it by example when it comes to that.
Yeah.
So that's a big thing.
I'm wondering, Nick, if there's obviously a lot of guys that probably listen to this podcast and community, etc. What would happen if you were to host a space, like an online thing once a week, and the guys came together to check in? What do you reckon would be the impact of having a space where guys could actually check in? There could be fathers, there could be younger men, it's just a place where they came together. What do you see as being the benefit if you were to run something like that?
Well, I look at it from my point of view of, I'm not a part of anything like that at the moment. So when I became a dad, it's just like, figure it out myself. Or I had a mate who recently had a kid, so it's just like leaning on him for bits of advice, but he's going through the same thing as me. So it's like, it's hard when you're leaning on people that haven't quite gone through it before or don't really know themselves what they're doing. So if we could get a group of men together who, their kids may have grown up and left, and then you have new fathers, so they can lean on each other and get more pieces of advice and then accountability and all that kind of stuff. I think it would be very pivotal to making fathers feel like they're not alone, because I feel like there's so much support for mums. Take a baby shower, for example.
Yeah.
Like, it's all about the mum and the baby.
Yeah.
What about the dad? Like, our bodies don't change. We don't push out the baby and all that kind of stuff, but there's so much that changes in our life as well. Yeah, people forget about us and they go, oh, it's okay. Like, you're just a dad.
So I'm wondering, for anyone listening right now, do you know a man, maybe you have a son, maybe you have a nephew, maybe you have a husband, partner, that would benefit from being able to jump on an online Zoom call or an in-person meeting with Nick and do a men's circle where men can check in and they can be more vulnerable? Because, I think we live in a society where talking about emotions has stereotypically been really quite a confronting thing. And I know I've sat in men's circles for the last year and done a lot of work on myself and whatnot, and Nick's an incredible human with a lot of incredible advice and experience and has a lot of wisdom to share. So I think that if you know someone that would benefit from working with him, then send them a message and let them know that Nick's here, because I have a feeling he's about to build something really powerful and incredible, and he might even launch this online men's circle or in-person men's circle next few weeks. Pretty powerful to have a group of 10 guys here in the studio, but and online as well.
Yeah, it would be very, very powerful, because as you mentioned before, as men, just told to suck it up. Like, yeah, you're a dad now, cool, just embrace it. Just go with the flow. Like, don't really speak about your feelings. Which is why so many men, so many fathers struggle with their mental health during this period, because they got no one to lean on. You know, mums have usually so many people to lean on. There's always people messaging them saying, oh, you okay? Is everything okay? Do you need help? The dads always get forgotten about. So if they can come to or be a part of a community where fathers can come together, lean on each other, open up, be vulnerable, speak about what's going on, their struggles, their fears, and then we can help each other through that. Man, there's going to be so many less men struggling during this, I'd say, adjustment period of becoming a father. Because, there's a lot of adjusting that happens during this period as well. And it's forever, you're forever adjusting as your child grows older. It doesn't, I wouldn't say it gets easier. It's just the challenges change. So to have that community to lean on would be amazing and pivotal.
Great. So there you heard it, guys. So what you need to do is, if you know a man, if you have a son, could be a young man. I know Nick's a great mentor. So if there's a son that he wants some mentoring to, Nick's your guy, and fathers, men in general, send him a message. If you're a woman that's listening to this, also send him a message and tee up a time. I reckon he's going to launch some possible days that he can run something online to just have a chance to have a chat. Because I know from experience and time again is, you have one man open up, it heals an entire room, right? Just listening to another man's experience is often the most pivotal thing that can occur. So I'm excited to see this.
Awesome, bro. Anything else? This is your show.
Anything else? Yeah, right. It's whole becoming an interviewer. This is interesting. Anything else? No, I think that's all off the top of my head. All the questions got answered. What one piece of advice you'd give to yourself before you even found out? What would you say?
Okay. Piece of advice I'd give myself
to your 18-year-old self.
I used to think that I had to be all set up and have, the business built and have all this massive financial backing before I could become a father.
Yeah.
Yes, that helps. And I definitely agree that you should have a level of financial stability before you have a child. But don't stress on it. If you end up getting your partner pregnant and you're not in the best financial position, coming back to before what I said is everything's going to be okay. And there is myself out there that you can lean on, you can message, because I've been through it. I'm still going through it to a certain degree. I can help you out. So just remember, it is going to be okay. Don't be so stressed, so overwhelmed, and look at it from the viewpoint of, what is this trying to teach me?
Yeah.
Because there's a lesson and blessing in every single challenge that may arise in your life. So I'd say that was a big piece of advice I would give myself.
Asking for help. Be okay with just asking for it, knowing that it's all happening for you. There's a lesson in everything.
Yep.
And that to lean on what you've got. Just quickly, I see ego be a huge thing.
Yeah.
For so many people, for so many men, I'm like, you're an idiot. Why aren't you asking for help when there's resources right there? It's like this whole thing that I need to prove myself. I need to be a man. It's like, fuck that. Being a man is asking for help. Being a man is being vulnerable and being fucking seen in your insecurity. That's the definition of a man. Because you have the strength and the courage to do so.
Resonate that a lot.
That'll make a good reel.
It is. I was just thinking I'm clipping that up straight away.
Amazing. I love it. Cool. Well, I think that's all.
Is that a wrap?
That's a wrap, and everyone keep your eye out for what Nick's about to offer.
Dude, I really enjoyed this, because as I mentioned before, I've never really opened up deep on what we've spoken about today. So yeah, a big part of this conversation was reflection for me, and reflecting on my journey and the growth that I've had throughout. it was scary being vulnerable and opening up about it, but it's also opened up a lot of avenues in my head of like where I can take this and where I can go next.
Yeah.
So I just want to say, man, I'm fucking grateful for you wanting to come out here today and, you interview me and bring up all these these topics. It's been awesome, bro. So I appreciate it.
No worries, man. It's going to help a lot of people.
Awesome. Let's go.